I would say about $60,000 of commissions that I let go. I want to talk a little bit about why and why I think it's important for you to know. This is a $3 million house. 99% of agents in this state would be gleefully happy to try to take something like this on. I am not going to sell this house for you. Because what happens is everyone comes in and just like kisses the seller's ass because they want the listing. They're like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I can sell this. Oh my God, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I have talked to you guys since the very beginning of this podcast that I just want to be able to give you guys good advice. And I wanted to get on here and talk about this story because this is absolutely prototypical. Like I put my money or the money I could have had where my mouth is. Welcome back to another episode of Moving Sucks. I'm your host, Seth Lejeune with Real Broker in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have been very tardy on getting back on here to talk about some of the pressing issues that are facing clients, our clients. It's been an extremely busy spring market in Philadelphia. Very, very hard to get a second to yourself if you build a big business. But I'm back and I wanted to talk a little bit about I would say about $60,000 of commissions that I let go. And I want to talk a little bit about why and why I think it's important for you to know, because I think that it is really important for any really practitioner, even a business or a white collar professional services, whatever salesperson, to understand what they can truly offer the consumer and what they cannot. I received a call from my contractor, said there is this nice lady in a town here called Doylestown who had a very bad experience with a previous agent, and she decided to let that person go. This is a $3 million house, 7,000 square feet. It's about 20 years old. It has a pool. It's on 2.5 acres. 99% of agents in this state would be gleefully happy to try to take something like this on. A commission on a house like this is like year-changing money. And it is something that a lot of agents will try to do. But in this certain zip code, $3 million is getting pretty much like ultra luxury. It's pretty much the top of the market for what it is, other than like massive farms with farmhouses and acreage. Very, very large home, well maintained. But there are certain people there's only so many people who are going to buy a house like this. And I got some really good advice when I was coming up in real estate. And my mentor, Linda, she's like, it's not sold till it's settled, right? So that was her way of saying, like, you don't make shit until the thing's sold. So it can be really, really a shiny object. And it can be really kind of cool to promote it and market it and want to be able to tell your friends that you have a $3 million listing, and the idea of like, getting that commission, even after tax, it's a substantial amount of money. And so she decided to call me, and I had a really good conversation with her for about 20, 25 minutes. Did my normal thing where, I found out what she needed, what went wrong with the old broker, everything like that. And I got off the phone and I just made a decision. I said, I'm not going to sell this for this woman. I'm just not. I said, this woman's looking for publications, press, fancy videos, like all kinds of like spend, probably about $10,000 in spending. And, $10,000 for me is not like, it's not a huge issue, but it is a risk, right? I would have to spend that money. Hopefully I can sell it. I do have people that would in my network who would buy something like this. Certainly would help someone purchase it, but to sell it, given what it was, I felt that it was important for me to step aside. So I did still take the meeting. We set up a meeting during our call, and I went and I said to her, I walk in, she's like, well, I started doing research on you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't sell $3 million houses. That's not my thing. So she was starting to go into the conversation like, I looked you up and like doesn't look like you really sell. And I said, listen, I'm gonna let you off the hook. I said, I am going to change the premise of this meeting. I said, I am not going to sell this house for you. And she just sat back and was like, what? And I said, you've already had a bad hire for the sale of this house. And I think you would be making another bad hire if you hired me. I said, I am an extremely talented agent, but this is just not my sandbox. This is not, I don't have the connections with all the end users, buyers for this property. I know some of the agents who, sell in this ultra luxury space, but this isn't like really what I do like very well. And so what I'd like to do though is because you don't know anything about this space, I want to sit and talk to you about the house, what you think went wrong, what you think you need here. And then I'm going to assist you in finding the right broker for this. And we're going to interview some people. And she just was like, it took her a good 10, 15 minutes to figure out. She was so flabbergasted that I would come in and say, I'm not going to sell this thing for you. That because what usually happens is people come in with all this fanfare, pomp and circumstance, uh, trying to understand what she needs and all the stuff, and blubbering about over the property and oh my god, so beautiful, and in the end, it didn't compute to her that I was sitting and literally saying like I'm going to take like tens of thousands of dollars out of my pocket. And so we started talking. I got a better sense, but it totally changed the framing of the conversation. She realized she wasn't being sold, so she just opened up, and I got like an even more of a look at exactly what she needed. I got a look at and a sense of how she wanted to be treated, how much attention she needed, what she thought was important in the house. So we walked around the house, and I gave her just because what happens is everyone comes in and just like kisses the seller's ass because they want the listing. They're like, oh my god, this is beautiful. I can sell this. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm like, no, like that room, like isn't staged right. Like it doesn't look good. We're gonna have to repaint this. I explained to her the psychology of reflection points, buy points, and a showing. Most agents have no idea how to show a house, unfortunately. So I went in and I kind of showed her what I thought with nothing to lose, and that was really that was the key. So then what I did is I went back out to a few of my favorite agents and I asked them either directly or through someone else, would you come over and interview for this property? And but I spent at least a half hour on the phone with each one of these agents, and I plucked one who I thought was the best, and um, it ended up working out great. I went back up there with her. We talked together. I asked the agent questions in front of the client. And this property is probably going to be listing like after the 4th of July. And probably the best agent she could have gotten because she was interviewing some others. And through that process, I was able to kind of give her a sense of like who these people were and like what they truly, there was one agent who said she did $400 million in business. It's like her entire organization did, like she's on a team and that team does a lot of luxury, but the entire group did that. So I explained to her kind of the bullshit that like commission or volume numbers are in our business and was able to just give her good advice. And I have talked to you guys since the very beginning of this podcast that I just want to be able to give you guys good advice. And I wanted to get on here and talk about this story because this is absolutely prototypical. Like I put my money or the money I could have had where my mouth is. This business is filled with a lot of excellent real estate agents, well-meaning, talented, but a lot of them will take business that they shouldn't take. Like, I'm not your guy to sell a quadplex in a borough. Like, I mean, I could do it. I don't necessarily want to. I also don't want to sell a $3 million house. I don't want the headache. I don't want all the having to go up there and do the showings myself. And a lot of people think this is a limiting belief, but I think it's actually about as empowering as it gets because I know exactly the kind of people that I want to work with. And so I do a lot of coaching and I coach every week on a mastermind call. And we recently went over like how to identify your ideal client. And I have like two or three ideal clients. And this woman is not it. I don't like working in that area of the market. And so I wanted to get on here and just talk about this, not to toot my own horn, but just to remind anyone out there who's listening, is that first of all, when you hire me, I'm going to give you, I'm always going to shoot you straight. Never going to bullshit you. That's like always my like core promise. But if you're not going to call me and you're somewhere else in the country or somewhere else, just make sure the person you're hiring is actually like the person who should be doing it, because there's investor agents, there's luxury agents, there's like people who work in a lot like in boroughs and like FHA, there's people who are just like, middle market people, they're downsized people. There's people who work with vets. There's people who work with a lot of like USDA, with a lot of like septic and well. And I kind of dabble in some of that, but most agents don't actually have all the experience that someone like I like. They just haven't had as many transactions. But you want to be like very, very careful if you've got something niche like a log cabin or like a house that's really, really in bad shape, house that's out in the middle of nowhere, whatever, condo in a high rise, same deal. It's like that is a whole other world. You want to hire the people who know how to navigate those conversations. And people often say, well, you just put a sign in the lawn and like it just sells. It's like, no, but like having that conversation with the buyer's agent to arm them to go back to their buyers and make them feel safe enough to put pen to paper. That's what you pay me for. Knowing the language of that specific type of property. And like, I grew up in the most expensive zip code in Pennsylvania, went to one of the best public schools in the country. My family has a family business. Like I can speak the language with wealthy people, but it's just not the area that I want to be in. Now, granted, I sell up to $1.5 million houses. Totally cool with that. Honestly, in Philadelphia, 1.5 is not like luxury. It's just like a really nice house. This higher echelon of like farms and estates and high end condos, it's just like a different world. So I just wanted to just reiterate to everybody that getting the right representation and having that one hard conversation with your high school buddy who has a license to be like, listen, we just need somebody who really spoke the language of like this type of a house in this market, will definitely pay off for you, for sure. It's not going to be necessarily an easy conversation, but you will make more money. You'll have a shorter way to settlement. And a good agent who is aware of exactly like what your like specific market is going to be able to explain things a lot easier. And so I don't know if I cost myself money, but putting this episode out, maybe, but I don't care. I'm in this business long enough where I know what I want to work on. I know who I want to work with. Like if you're an asshole, you don't get to work with me. Like, sorry. If you're a know-it-all and like, yeah, I'm willing to deal with, willing to receive your opinion. But when I give you really good advice and then you just like come outright refuse it, like we're not going to get along. So whenever I go in for a listing, it doesn't matter how, what it is. I always say, I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me. Like I don't take every client. And I would have worked very, very hard to get to that point in my business. And you should hire somebody like that, who doesn't have anything to lose, is not chasing a commission. That's human nature. I'm not trying to disparage agents, but you just should always hire somebody who could leave the meeting and not get the thing and be completely fine because they have so many other clients and they can just move on. But because they know their market, like they also know who they want to work with. And that usually means that they have really drilled down their systems and processes and really know the language of that subsection of the market. So I hope you guys find that helpful. I just want to hop on here. I'm going to be back in the saddle here. I went to the U.S. Open with my best friend, and I was away, and we've had some coverage, and just volume issues, just so much business that I took a little bit of a break, but I am back. If you guys have like mishired an agent why don't you drop something in the comment here? I would be comments. I would really be interested to know what happened, what kind of property you had. And if you have within yourself, like and subscribe to hear more about this. All right. Thanks, guys. See you.